How much does it cost to own that donkey?
How much does it cost to own one is what people really care about. So in this video, we're gonna go over how much it's going to cost for somebody to own a donkey. So we're gonna go through everything it would cost to feed, to fence, to have a shelter, all that good stuff, and also like hidden care costs for donkeys that people don't think about. So the answer is not just as simple as how much does this donkey cost? So let's talk about feeding the donkeys, right? So donkeys are desert creatures. They actually don't need a lot of calories. If you're gonna feed your donkeys feed, they need a low starch, low sugar feed. The same as if you're feeding a horse with laminitis or a person that's diabetic. They need really low sugar because they're very efficient with their feed, which means that they can get fat real fast. And I mainly feed my Jennies who are pregnant, like Miss Ethel here. She's due in the next month or so. These are weanlings, meaning that they got taken off their mom, so they're not getting milk anymore. And I also feed my donkeys through the winter. That's the big thing. During the winter, you really want to make sure their body condition stays good, especially if they're in a small pasture where they don't have a lot of foraging opportunities. So it's really important to offer them supplemental feeding during different times where if you live in an area that's cold or that the grass kind of dies back, you're going to feed hay. Let's talk about hay costs. So I don't feed hay right now because we have all this green pasture. Right? They got plenty of stuff to eat out there. You can feed square bales. You can feed the giant square bales, which are about, the small square bales are around 50 to 60 pounds. The giant square bales are around anywhere from 80 to 100. Or you can feed, like I do, giant round bales that are 700 to 1,000 pounds of hay. That we put one giant round bale out and they eat it. So let's talk about the cost of that. And it's really dependent on where you live. The cost of that hay in California is going to be way more expensive than it is where we are in the East Coast. So a square bale for us is around $6 a bale. That's delivered and whatever. And they don't need anything special. They don't need alfalfa. They don't need anything crazy. They just need grass hay. That's really all they need. Orchard grass. Timothy's okay. It's probably a little bit high in sugar and nutrition, but really just grass hay is all that they need. Nothing fancy. So a square bale, a small 50-pound square bale, runs about $6. Now a giant round bale runs us about $45. And for our herder donkeys, we went through about 30 round bales during the winter. We fed about 2 a week for end of November all the way until 1st of March. So just keep in mind how long your season is too, because you don't want to run out towards the end of the winter because it's really hard to find hay. So another hidden cost to donkeys is finding a shelter for them. So these guys are completely allergic to rain, okay? If it starts drizzling or anything, if you live anywhere where it rains, they will run for their barn. So shelters vary in price greatly. You can build it yourself. You can pay to have somebody build it for you. You can buy one pre-done like these. We have Amish builders around here that they build these and just bring them and deliver them to your farm. You can buy one with some assembly required. Whole bunch of different things, but it really ranges. So this is a 12 by 16 barn. This is what we have for all of our donkeys. I have another one in that pasture. And honestly, a 12 by 16 barn is good enough for probably 6 donkeys. So this is probably way too big for just 2. So you probably cut it in half. But I think for an average barn, you're looking at anywhere from probably $1,000 to $3,000 for 2 donkeys. It's your fencing costs. So you got to keep these little suckers in because if there is a hole, they will get out of it. So you have a couple different options for fencing. This is woven wire, and it does take a lot more to put it in, but as far as in durability and lasting, this is a really good choice. You also have electric fencing, which I'll show you that as an option. And honestly, at the end of this video, I'm gonna give you guys an estimate on how much it would cost to fence in and set up about a ½ an acre pasture where you could keep 2 donkeys. The other fencing option that you can use is electric fence. Now, some people don't like electric fence, but honestly, it's really good to throw it up if you want to rotate pastures more. Hello, Hank. See, Hank, it keeps him, he's one of our jacks. It keeps him from breaking into here and breeding Jennies I don't want him to breed because he 100% respects the electric fence. Now, not every animal does, but donkeys do really well. I think they can hear the electricity and they don't even try it. So this is a 4 strands of ribbon electric fence. It works super well. We use it to divide this pasture, and honestly, I love it. The only thing we have to worry about is keeping it mowed underneath so it doesn't ground out, meaning that the electric stops working, and if a tree falls on it or a limb falls on it or anything like that. But this kind of electric fence is really, really good, but it requires a little less startup than a woven wire fence. It takes these metal posts, the clips, the tape obviously, and you got to get a charger. So you have to have someplace that has electric, because the solar powered chargers aren't strong enough. I really don't trust them, so I really like the plug-in kind that run a hotter fence. We have a lot of other costs that go into owning them, okay? We got, if you want to groom them, we need brushes, feed scoops. Do you know how many feed scoops I owned and can't find? So then I buy another feed scoop, and then I find said feed scoop. So now I have like feed scoops everywhere. Still manage to lose them. The fly spray during the summer, if you live in a hot area where there's a lot of flies, absolutely necessary. Sunscreen. You have a white spotted donkey and their nose gets sunburned. You have to go out and put sunscreen on their nose. You don't have to, but you should put sunscreen on their nose because they'll get really burnt. Another thing that I have a million things of is buckets. These things crack, the handles snap off, and you can always use a new bucket, okay? So lots of buckets. You don't even have to buy them new. People sell buckets all the time. You can even go on like different marketplaces and stuff if people are like selling their used stuff. Highly recommend lots of buckets. I don't know if you all know this, but they poop a lot, okay? So you're gonna need something to clean their pasture up with. You're gonna need a pitchfork, a manure rake, muck tubs, a wheelbarrow, you know, all these things that you're gonna need to clean up after your donkey. And you're also gonna have to figure out what to do with that. So like around here, we have like compost piles. All of our manure goes in one pile. We let it compost. I use it in my garden or back out in the pasture. If you live in an area that you can't do that, you need to think about what you're gonna do with their waste, because they kind of make a lot of it. A couple more costs that people don't think about is if you live in a cold climate, you're probably gonna need to get a couple blankets for your donkeys. Now, I have enough blankets for all my donkeys, so a lot of blankets. But there's certain ones on my donkeys, whether they're older or sometimes they just do not tolerate the cold as good as the other ones, and they require blankets. So if you see them shivering, like they grow a pretty good coat, but other ones just don't. You know, it's like people, like I freeze all the time, and Josh is like in shorts and a t-shirt in the middle of January, right? So everybody's a little bit different. So sometimes your donkeys don't really tolerate the cold and you need to give them a blanket. These blankets, you can get them pretty reasonable, 50 to 70 bucks. And you measure them. I can do a whole video on how to measure and fit your donkeys for a blanket when we get closer to winter. But that's just another thing that people need to think about and be ready for, because everybody makes a mad dash to buy blankets right as it gets cold, and sometimes they're sold out. Next thing, which is a really big cost, which we're standing in front of, is transporting your donkey. So you're gonna have to find something. These are still livestock, right? Miniature donkeys, while they're cute, they look like they're dog size. I mean, could fit on your deck. You still have to transport them. So you can either buy yourself a stock trailer, which is what we did, because you know, we have quite a few of them. But you can also do trailer rentals, okay? But you need a vehicle that can pull said trailer, or rent a vehicle that can. You gotta think about things like taking them to the vet if they get hurt, picking them up and taking them to your home, different things like that. So while a trailer rental might be really great in some situations, if you kind of already have a farm and you're adding them, you probably just want to get a stock trailer. Stock trailers run just like anything. You can buy a cheaper one that needs some work, which is what we did. We redid this entire trailer for a couple $1,000s. Or if you want to get really fancy, $10,000, $20,000 for a stock trailer. So it's kind of like all in what you want to do. Or I think trailer rentals, I've seen anywhere from $25 to $50 a day, which is not bad. All right, we're back up on my donkey deck. That's what we affectionately call this area because it overlooks our pastures. Let's talk about the cost of the donkeys. You can get donkeys, like a standard donkey, like my donkey Lily at my parents' house. I got her at an auction for a couple $100. So just kind of look at what's best for you and your family, and know that some mini donkeys can go up to $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 for the donkey. So you're looking at anywhere from maybe $1,000 to, if you bought 2 very expensive donkeys, $20,000. So let's do fencing, because that's the big one, right? You got to keep these little guys in. For the supplies, it's going to run you about $1,542.78 here. You're going to want at least 2 gates in your pasture. I don't care who you are. The more gates, the easier your life is. Just take that from somebody who has had a lot of experience. If you want an electric fence, that's what was most surprising, is actually more expensive than the woven wire, coming in at $1,564.79. If that solar panel goes bad, your fence is off, and you don't catch it, you're going to have donkeys loose. A shelter is crucial for a donkey. Our buildings out here came from a local Amish building company, and they ran us about $3,500 for the basic run-in sheds, and they are pretty big. They're 12 by, I want to say 24, and it starts at around $2,200. We can deworm them ourselves. That's a simple trip to your farm store. They're really small, the miniature donkeys are, so honestly, 1 tube that's for a horse is going to be enough for probably 2 donkeys. So I think a tube runs anywhere from $12 to $18 if you get like an ivermectin or like a Panicure or a Safeguard, which is fenbenzidol. And we worm our donkeys on a quarterly basis. So for 2 donkeys, you're going to go through about 4 tubes a whole year. There is certain parts of care that you cannot do yourself, and you're going to have to let a veterinarian take care of your donkey. So things that are out of your control. If you hear them, they don't really like the vet a lot. And once again, this is something that varies greatly on your area. So, and it varies also on your equipment. So if you have a trailer and you can take it to the vet if they need to go, you will not be charged a farm call. Now the vets, most large animal vets do come out to the farm, or they do charge a farm call cost. So those are also things to think about. And honestly, the vet procedures themselves vary so greatly between what my bill would be here versus what it would be in North Carolina or Florida, So these are all things that you need to find out prior to needing that situation, right? And also farrier work. Okay, this is a huge one. So donkeys' hooves grow 365 days a year. They are like fingernails, and they have to be trimmed. Some people go and learn how to do it themselves, and that's great. If you want to do the schooling to do that and professionally take care of your own animals, I just don't. In this area, it's anywhere from $35 to $60 a donkey for a hoof trim. The proper timing for farrier work is 6 to 8 weeks. So while they're very cute, please know that these costs are something that a lot of it has to be done up front. It's not as cute as just grabbing them and throwing them in your yard, right? They're very loving. They are basically dogs with hooves. On my Facebook page, I call them my puppadonks because I literally think they're basically puppies, and I enjoy them so much. But I hope this gives you guys a good idea of the cost that it would take to actually own one of these long-eared individuals. And if you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments, and we will try to answer them the best that we can.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're kind of just doing some different kinds of videos on this platform. I'm really excited to show you all, but I hope you guys realize that, owning some of these animals that we have is not just as simple as buying the animal. You have to think about it for care long-term over the course of a year, right? So stay tuned, because we're gonna do goats, we're gonna do chickens, and I might even throw in a few surprise animals into there that nobody knows about yet. So anywho, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I think we're even gonna branch out and do some stuff with like the gardening, like my dahlias, like how much it would cost to, do 10 dahlias or 20 dahlias. but kind of expand on this video. So let us know in the comments kind of what you want to see, and thank you so much for watching. All right, if you guys could just hit that subscribe button, because around 80% of people that watch videos on this platform aren't actually subscribed. So if you want to stay up to date when we put out new videos, which we're trying to do, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss them.